So yesterday we got a new Pokemon presentation talking about updates coming to games like Pokemon Go, the Pokemon Cafe game, Pokemon Unite. But the big thing that I want to talk about this video is this new trailer we got for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'm going to be giving you guys a quick rundown of things that we saw in the trailer and just giving my overall thoughts and impressions. So without further ado, let's just get started. So right off the bat, the first thing I want to mention is that apparently this is a open world Pokemon game, which I assume is going to be similar to Legends of Arceus. I don't really know how big the world or the map is, but the fact that it's an open world Pokemon game is a pretty interesting take. There were a couple things I noticed in the trailer that they didn't really talk about that I just want to point out. For one thing, a couple times in the trailer you see these like towers throughout the wild, and I'm wondering if because if this is an open world game, if the towers are like kind of similar to the towers in Breath of the Wild, where like in Ubisoft games you climb them and you can use them as like fast travel points and they unlock portions of the map. Maybe I think the fact that we've seen these towers multiple times in different areas of the game kind of implies that that's what it is, but I don't know. Also, a few times we see this shot of a big car with like fire painted on it, but we don't know what that is or what the deal with that is. I'm thinking maybe that's the new like evil team, like how previous games we've had like Team Rocket, Team Magma, Aqua, and so on and so on. Maybe that car could be connected to whatever the evil team for this game series is, but I don't know. Another thing is that we've seen these in previous trailers, but this trailer we got a better look at it. There's like these I'm gonna call them like pit stops, I guess, in like the open world area, and you see in this one shot here that there's like they're kind of sectioned off. Like there's the blue one on the left, the red in the middle, and the green section on the right. And I'm assuming the red is obviously the Poke Center where you heal your Pokemon. The blue is definitely the Pokemart where you buy supplies and shit. The green one, maybe that's for like online multiplayer or something. I don't know, maybe that's how you connect with other players, which is kind of a way to segue into the next point, is that this game is going to have co-op of up to 3 friends. And because they said friends, I'm assuming that means like there's 4 players in total, kind of you and 3 of your friends, which is cool. But unfortunately, playing the Switch online kind of sucks. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully it works with the game, but but if you want to play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with your friends, you absolutely can, which is awesome. Now, an interesting thing about the story and the character you play as is that your character, you will play as a student, and there are 2 different schools. There's Naranja and Yuva. I don't know if I pronounced those right, so forgive me if I said those wrong. But that's kind of interesting that you are a student essentially. I wonder if that means like you go to school and like is taking classes actually going to be part of the game, or is that just going to be like where you go to like, I assume you're definitely going to go there to like meet other characters, and maybe like that's where you get like missions and stuff to go out into the world. But speaking of missions, like apparently the school is doing a special independent study project called a treasure hunt. Now I'm assuming treasure hunts are like a theme in this game, and maybe like treasure hunting is actually like a mission type you can do, because they actually said in this game that there are 3 grand stories. One of them is like how the traditional go to 8 gyms and get the badges to be Pokemon champion. They did say there is no set path, so you can go to any gym you want in any order, which I think is actually kind of interesting, because looking back to Pokemon Sword, I went into that game knowing that the first gym is a grass type gym. So that's why I picked Scorbunny as my starter, and I was like, okay, before I get there I should get a couple more fires, just worst case scenario, just to be prepared. So going into that, I kind of knew what the first gym was, which made me more prepared, and knowing that, it kind of took the challenge away and made it easier. I obviously could have chose not to do that and make it hard for myself, but like, why would I do that? So having the freedom to go to any gym you want in any order, in my mind, makes me think like, oh, I'm not gonna know what type the gym is I go to, which is gonna be more surprising, which is going to then either be very put me at a huge disadvantage if I go unprepared. Which, it's in like RPGs, you always want to go into every battle prepared, but I think having the freedom of choice and go into the game completely blind and not knowing what type gym is what would make the game more challenging, in my opinion. Again, people looking at what gym is what is kind of like up to the player. I still like the idea of having the freedom to go whichever gym you want. I think going in the game blind and not knowing anything could make the game more challenging, because the whole like having the right types and what depending on the gym you go to can change things up a bit, but that's one of the grand stories they said. I think we don't know what the other 2 are. I'm gonna assume one of them has something to do with the treasure hunt thing, because that seems to be a big part of like the school aspect and your character being a student. So that's one of them. As for the 3rd one, I have no idea. I don't really know how these stories connect together. Like, are they all separate? Do they intertwine? Can you do one at a time, or can you like jump back and forth between different stories? We'll have to see when we get our hands in the game, but that is kind of interesting to know that there's like 3 stories that you can. I should say 3 stories because I feel like that applies 3 like story modes, but the way they say it, 3 grand stories happening or whatever. Now, this next part, this to me was a huge surprise that I didn't know they were doing. This is one of the things that kind of piqued my interest about these games, is that the new legendaries, first off, we got their names. The red one is Koraidon and the purple one is Miraidon, and you can use them as vehicles. Now what I mean by this is that in the trailer you kind of see like you ride them like motorcycles, or you can use them to swim through the ocean or fly or even climb mountains. You essentially use these legendary Pokemons to traverse the wild areas. My question is though, because these are the legendaries that are on the box, and normally in past Pokemon games the legendaries on the box art you get at the end of the games, but if you're using the legendaries to traverse the open world, I'm assuming that means you're going to get them in the beginning, or at least very early in the beginning. Otherwise, how else are you going to traverse the open world in this game, unless you you get like a bike and learn surf and like you do in the older games, and you get the legends at the end still. But what would be the point of showing that off in the trailer? I guess because it looked cool, I don't know. So yeah, that's one way of doing it, but if that's not the case and you do get these legendaries at the beginning so you can like use them to traverse the open world, then one that kind of takes away from the end game. Well, I don't know, not as an end game, but like like how, like I said before, previous Pokemon games, you fight the legendary and catch it at the end, which if you're getting at the beginning, that kind of takes away from that. And also, like, does that mean you're gonna start with a legendary right off? And it's like, if so, is that gonna make battles easier? Are they gonna make it to where you can't use it in battle and you can only use it for like exploration? I don't know, but I really want to see how they flesh that out. It'd be interesting to see though. But I think either way, it is cool that these legendary Pokemons are what you use to traverse the open world. I love how like they're kind of motorcycle themed, but at the same time, the purple robot looking one actually like turns into a motorcycle, whereas the red one still runs on like all 4s, but it looks like it has like tires on him, so that's just weird to me. I was already gonna get Violet because I thought the Pokemon for Violet, Miraidon, looked cooler than the red one, but now the fact that he actually like works like a motorcycle makes me want to pick Violet even more, which is weird because red's my favorite color, so I would have normally gone with Scarlet, but no, in this case I'm gonna go Violet. I think that legendary looks way cooler than Koraidon in my opinion. Also, speaking of like red being my favorite color, I always get like fire starters as my starter. But I gotta be honest, I'm not really a fan of the fire starter in this game. I mean, we haven't seen the final evolutions of the starters, so maybe my opinion will change when I see those. But right now, I'm kind of leaning towards the cat, Sprigatito. Yeah, that's probably who I'm gonna pick. Okay, but putting that tangent aside, the next thing I want to mention is that we did see a few new Pokemon. We got a Paldean regional Wooper, so it's like a new form of Wooper. We saw this new cute dog Pokemon named Fido. So it's a dog made of like dough, and that's fucking adorable. And we got our new ice Pokemon named Cetitan, which looked very cool, and we actually saw the ice gym leader use it, so we also do know there's an ice type gym leader in the game, so that's cool. Now this is kind of the big thing I want to talk about. This is like the new gimmick with this game. Previously in Sword and Shield we had like the Dynamax mechanic and the Gigantamax mechanic where you just turn your Pokemon to giant. This game they have a new thing called Terrestrialize, I think. I don't remember if that's how you say it, so forgive me. But basically, it's a mechanic where you can crystallize your Pokemon, and what happens is it boosts a Pokemon's type and makes its move stronger. So it's essentially like a buff, essentially, that you can activate. Something to keep in mind is that all Pokemon in the Paldea region can use this, so it's like specific to this region, which means it's only in these games, I'm assuming. But this is the really interesting part. Some Pokemon will change type when you use this crystallization mechanic on them, which is interesting. So like the example they give was they made Pikachu, which is normally a lightning type, into a flying type. We saw a Drifblim become a fire type. Then we saw 2 examples of an Eevee going from, which is Eevee is normally normal type, I think everyone knows that, but we saw an example of one Eevee going to grass type and another Eevee going into a water type. That makes me wonder like what determines what type they turn into. Like I'm gonna say crystallize because I can't remember the fucking word they used or whatever the fuck it was, but let's say like I catch an Eevee and I can crystallize it into a water type, but then I catch another Eevee and I could crystallize it into, I don't know, what a fucking fire type. Is that how it works, or is it like dependent on something else? Because see, I was under the impression that it was like set to one type, like Pikachu can only crystallize into flying, but that doesn't seem to be the case because we saw an Eevee turn into either water or grass. So I'm really curious as to what determines what type you can change these Pokemon into, essentially. And one thing I want to mention about the crystallization mechanic is that we saw a demonstration of it in the trailer, obviously, and I gotta say it looks great. The power glow effects, the graphics, it all just looks pretty. I think the animators of this game did a really good job just animating that whole, I guess, transformation sequence, if that's what you can call it. But I still think it looks great. And the last thing we'll talk about is that there are raid battles coming back in this game, like how in Sword and Shield we had the Dynamax raid battle, raid den battles. I forgot what they were fucking called, honestly, but we had raid battles in that game. They're coming back in this game, but with the whole crystallized mechanic feature. So regarding those Pokemon that have rare Terra types are more likely to appear in these raid battles, so that's kind of how you farm for those, I believe. You can play those up to 3 other trainers, so there's co-op with those, and you can attack or heal with your own timing, so you don't have to wait on your teammates, which is good because, like, if I'm playing with, like, I might play this game solo just because I don't like playing Switch Online, but if I'm playing the solo and I have a bunch of AI teammates, then that means I don't have to wait on them to do their turn. I can just kind of keep doing my own thing as I play. So that's good. I think that kind of keeps the game from getting like stalled and dragging on, or you're waiting on, you know, your partners or whatever to do whatever they're doing in the raid battles. And that's kind of everything. I know I really sped through this video, kind of just getting through all the points as fast as I could, but that's just I want to get this video up as soon as possible. I will say, in my opinions, a lot of this stuff seems really interesting. I'm really interested in the whole how they're going to handle the legendary Pokemon, and like, are we getting them in the beginning of the game? Are we still going to get them late game, whatever? How are we going to, like, you know, have legendaries that we use to explore the world but then battle with? The biggest thing that really like got my attention was the whole crystallization mechanic. I think it's a very interesting mechanic, especially how it changes types, which makes me wonder, like, how is that going to factor into actual battle? Because, like, I try to, like, think about it in my head, and I can't quite get a grasp on, like, is this a good change? Is this a bad change? I feel like it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to kind of see in practice as I play it. But, like, being able to change Pokemon's type in the middle of battle could be very advantageous, because, like, you know, say like you're fighting a Pokemon that is weak against I don't know, water type, but you don't have a water type, but you have one you can change it into a water type. That might be how it's useful, but I don't know. Like I said, I feel like this is one of those things where I'm gonna have to kind of like see in practice to fully understand like the utility of it and see if like if this is actually a good mechanic or not. But it definitely really got my attention. I think it's a really cool idea. For me, like, all this stuff like we saw in this trailer made me more interested in playing this game, because before I was gonna play Pokemon Violet, but I was more like, I'm just gonna play it just because it's a new Pokemon game. I'm not super excited about it, but now I'm definitely more interested in it. Like my interest in it went from like here to here, I would say. So yeah, I think this was a good trailer, and if anything I talked about in this video made you more interested in this game and you want to get it, I will let you know that the release date for this game is November 18th, 2022. So this game's gonna be out very soon. I'm excited to play it. I hope you guys are. If you are, let me know if you're excited to play the new Pokemon game down in the comments below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe so you don't miss more of my content. Regarding Pokemon, I know I have other Pokemon games I need to do on the channel. I need to finish Sword and Shield. I need to start Legends of Arceus. I did start recording it, but I haven't really uploaded anything in it. I still want to do the Diamond and Pearl remake, which I have, well, not Diamond and Pearl, but specifically the Diamond remake, which I haven't even started yet. So I got a lot of Pokemon games I want to do on the channel, so I hope I'll get around to doing those soon. But if you want to see those, subscribe so you don't miss them. And yeah, for me, I'm very excited for this game, a lot more excited than I was. I thought this was a cool trailer. I thought there was a lot of cool, interesting mechanics and ideas that we got to see be implemented in this game, and yeah, I can't wait to play it. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here, so thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.